You're on mute, Tommy.
Oh, I'm on mute.
There you
Oops.
go. Yeah.
I think it had me auto muted for when we got started. But yeah, no, guys, thanks for being here. Nice, bright, and early for today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by Because Bitcoin. Title may be a little alarming to some people. We'll do our best to break down exactly how we're feeling in regards to the Bitcoin price action. I know across the panel, we all have some very different opinions about kind of not only what we think Bitcoin might do in the immediate term, but also kind of what it could do into the end of the year and also into Q1 and Q2. So that's definitely something that I want to be able to talk about later on this show. You guys know me as, Snorlax Tommy. I'm joined as always by Max Tucker and Dr. Will's Outlook. I'm excited for today, guys. If you watch Market Check, or if you've been watching it for long enough, you know I have a bit of an affinity for lunar cycles. I'm going to try not to talk about them too deeply here in my intro, and we'll just highlight it on the charts, let you form your own conclusions, of course. But we do have a new moon today, and smack dab in the middle of, what is ultimately August, a very important month for cyclicality within lunar events, right? You have two full moons, and we're now, like I said, smack dab in the middle of that. So there is some more commentary beyond that I'll probably keep to myself for later in the show. But yeah, no, I think we have entered a period where you can maybe expect a little bit of chaos. That's kind of what these new moons are known for, whether that is to the upside or to the downside. And with Bitcoin specifically, one thing we've kind of been debating back and forth is whether or not we're going to see something like 26, 27K before trading higher prices. Maybe we dip even lower than that. Or, Will argue that we might be about to capitulate upward. And, we are looking for the cat. I know we have Grayscale ETF's announcement possibly in the next few minutes or within the hour, something like that. So maybe on this show, we'll get to see how the market reacts to that news. And if it's positive, maybe it's the type of event that could drive higher prices. All that and more, right? But I do think that Bitcoin is about to come, front and center for markets, at least, the markets that I'm trading. When you speak about historical volatility in Bitcoin, it is rock bottom. And I don't think there is much incentive anymore to continue shorting volatility. It's different for Ethereum because of, staking Ethereum, but there's not an incentive to short Bitcoin volatility. We are headed towards a very volatile move, or at the very least, the type of move that, maybe we get it, and then you see a few more months of low volatility, and then you get the real volatile move, right? But yeah, no, I do think we're in a very interesting spot, especially when you look over here at equities, and we are seeing a bit of a pullback today, kind of continued from, I think it was last week. Equities down about 1%. NASDAQ was leading last time I saw. And interestingly enough, it looked like the VIX was potentially curling up. And if that's the case here locally, then, that is probably the number one determining factor in whether or not we'll see downside in the immediate term for equities. So I did think that was interesting. But I also did note, the dollar is red today too. So I think that's important to this equation as well. And it really just kind of goes to how I'm viewing equities versus crypto, where equities are much less fragile than crypto, right? I mean, maybe we see some turmoil as a result of some of the movement within bond markets that causes maybe a little bit more volatility in equities. But from a fragility standpoint, right, headline risk isn't as prominent for equities right now. The bid is much stronger. The demand is much stronger. As far as crypto goes, there is a bit of headline risk, right? We don't know what the SEC is going to say about Grayscale. We don't know what is going to happen with Binance, which I definitely want to talk about BNB on today's show, because it is trading in a tighter and tighter range over the last month, even tighter than historically speaking. It's an asset with very, very low volatility, but even still, it has been trading in a 5 to 6% range for literally a month now. So I can't imagine that a big move in BNB is very far away either. But I'd love to get into some charts, kind of what we're seeing in the market. I want to get Max and Will involved because I know they are in very different camps as far as how this consolidation on Bitcoin is going to resolve. I will leave the floor to you guys as far as who wants to open up oh wow, average dad said nuke BNB to $8. Man, I hope that does not happen. But I will say I do think BNB nuking could be, it probably goes without saying, a huge catalyst for Bitcoin dominance to, maybe make that final leg higher. We'll see. I don't think there's a lot of developments that would come from a BNB, any turmoil with BNB. So let's go ahead and get right to the BNB chart to kind of kickstart. I'm not going to call it a debate because I don't think it's necessarily a debate yet, right? We're going sideways. We don't know. We have no idea how this is going to resolve. So I guess maybe it is a debate by definition, but we're going to keep it very friendly today. Going to have a little bit of trash talk, I'm sure, as per usual. But I think BNB kind of sets the stage for the crypto market in terms of up or down, right? Up or down. We are at support on BNB. Is this going to be the time? Is this a bear flag right before we nuke support? Or is it about to, melt faces to the upside? What are we thinking, guys?
Okay.
Hold on.
First of all,
what are we seeing in the markets, guys?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you always got to frame it correctly. All right, look, first of all, it's all love. You said it's not a debate yet. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to quickly turn into one. All right. I'm going to do my best to remain composed and respectful, and it's all love. With that said, I'm having some concerns about the fork in the road that we find the market at right now. And I'm starting to think that this thing might not break to the upside. If you understand, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. We're taking a look at BNB. Something notable about BNB, which I can't say about the rest of the market. Let's just pull up like total. All right. I find this to be pretty interesting. BNB is really one of the only names out there that never broke its sort of, I guess you could call it like its bull market range low. All right. Everything else broke its bull market range low quite easily. Like Bitcoin, this is total, by the way. So this is BNB up here. This is total. Like any name that you pull, like pull a name out of a hat, any ticker, they all broke their bull market range low. BNB has not broken its bull market range low. Now, the big question is like, why is that? Is CZ mechanically propping up the price? Is he twapping out of other assets to support the price of BNB? Is BNB really like the apex crypto asset? I don't know. You could decide. I think it's probably being mechanically engineered to remain at these elevated prices because there's a necessity for them to remain up at these prices. But I mean, look, everything else basically had like, a solid retest, filled in its inefficiencies from, the expansion that we had through 2020 and 2021. And BNB has not. So the big question is like, what happens if we lose that level? Who gets liquidated? Does somebody get liquidated? Is it Binance? Is it CZ? It's been like it's been appearing like it's about to nuke for quite some time, and it hasn't. So the question is why? Are they running out of ammunition to basically twop out of other assets or mechanically support price? And then, of course, the big question that we want to debate is, well, what happens if we start to lose that bull market range low? The one that every other crypto asset lost. What does that actually mean? Does it matter, right? If BNB itself is not being collateralized for any debt, then it shouldn't matter what the spot price is. If it's just sitting on their balance sheet as an asset, or maybe even not, maybe it's just sitting in, all of the holders of its wallets, and it's not tethered, no pun intended, to any sort of debt. And there's no subjectivity to margin calls or, mark to markets that could go wrong. Well, then who cares if the spot price goes down? But my gut is telling me that if BNB loses that range low, there's going to be a margin call of some sort, or a liquidation of some sort. I believe in my gut that BNB is, probably collateralized to some form of debt obligation that Binance has or CZ has. And I think that's why it's been sitting up for so long, because it has to. But eventually, even the Godfather may have a day of reckoning. So I don't know. I mean, do we want to wildly speculate on what could be beneath that support or what the implications of losing that level is? I don't know. I really don't know. BNB aside, how do I want to put this? Actually, I'm not going to put it anyway. I'm going to let the chart put it a certain way for me. This is Bitcoin with Bollinger Bands on the 3-day chart. The last 2 times that the Bollinger Bands were this squeezed, now the bottom here is the squeeze. All right, this is the degree of squeeziness right here and right here. The only 2 times we were this tight on the 3-day chart, right here and right here. Something is brewing. Something is brewing, and it's brewing quickly. So
Yeah,
you can decide where we potentially are here. You can decide how the stage is set and what you want to do about it. But Tommy is absolutely correct in noting that this is not the time to be shorting vol. It is not the time to be short crypto volatility. Anyways, Will, let's just open the floor up, man. What's going on? Do we want to wildly speculate on what happens if BNB loses that range low? Do we want to talk about how Bitcoin's imminently pumping to 37K? What do we want to talk about, man?
oh, Bitcoin's going up. I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at the low there, right? The second one, you look at the second low there, look at that ranging and look at the current ranging. Tell me they aren't identical. You have no vol. Market's completely dead. It's dead in the water. It's not moving, right? Everybody thinks it's going to fall off a cliff. What does it do? It goes the inverse, right? And now
I don't
we've gotten
think that everybody thinks it's going to fall off of a cliff.
No,
Everybody.
no, hold on.
I don't think that.
At the lows, everybody did.
All right, let me contextualize this move a little bit further for everybody. All right. This most recent Will is looking for, not to put words in your mouth, Will, but at this point we talk every day. I feel like I can. I feel like I know where you stand. Will is looking for a scam pump up above the previous high to trap liquidity. One final bull trap. Is that fair to say, Will? And then you think it's completely Shrek ogre, right?
Yeah, I mean, again,
okay. Here's my
level
case.
by level, right?
Level by level. All right. Here's my thought. This move right here, I'll get rid of this now. We don't need it. Okay. This move right here, to put it into context, was precisely what you were already looking for, Will. This expansion up, it was framed initially as the spot ETF is coming. People are front-running institutions for the imminent ETF approval. Okay. Then we found out that wasn't the case. Then we found out it was allegedly Michael Saylor twapping into Bitcoin, which again is false pretense because he doesn't necessarily twap like that. A lot of his transactions are OTC. Yes, he does some normal exchange purchasing, but that was not the move. So again, the 2 narratives we were given for this move were, again, people front-running the imminent spot ETF approval and Michael Saylor buying in. Neither of them truly manifested because you can measure where that volume actually derived from. This move right here was about 90% perps volume compared to spot. Way more perpetual futures longing than actual spot demand for the asset, okay? Basically, when you measure spot CVD versus perp CVD, spot volume starting right here fell off of a cliff, all right? The only reason that this move happened and we swept this high up here was because people were just aping on perps. And again, a false narrative was attached to it. I think the move that you're looking for, Will, potentially already happened. I think that this move right here is what you were looking for. Like, I think that what you're wanting this. I think that you got it already when we swept this high. I think you got your trap. I think this was it. You were lied to about why this happened. You were given like an uber bullish narrative, and we got spit out of it. And we've continually seen right here spot volumes falling off of a cliff, perps volume falling off of a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that attaching this narrative of the market's dead, there's no volume, is a bullish thing, especially with the pullback that we're seeing in equities. BNB looking like it's about to fall off of a cliff. We're still 100% off of the yearly open. I'm not saying it's over, but I'm saying if equities are going to pull back and do something like this, and we talked about this scenario yesterday. We talked about this scenario yesterday on this very show. If equities do something like this and they pull back to 4,300, which is our mega demand level, that level to me equals about 25K on Bitcoin, somewhere down here. So I'm just saying, I think the stage is being properly set for a flush rather than like the imminent pump to 35K.
Here's my, I guess, my issue with that part of the conversation is, at the end of the day, you know, if we're looking for a flush, why not already do it, right? I think that the obvious scenario here is that price is continuing to range sideways. There's no vol, zero vol, right? Like it's trying to sweep out all shorts and all longs. They want no activity on trading, because the only thing you're getting in this range is scalps, and you're probably getting destroyed if you're trying to scalp this. In my opinion, I don't think you're profitable scalping this range. And these type of ranges are usually good ranges for accumulation. I've never seen a real distributive range that sits there and runs with no vol. A distributive range gives a lot of volatility because they want to keep people in the trade. They want to keep people trading the range so they can eventually take it away from them. There's nobody trading right now, in my opinion. Like, it is just not. Like, this range is absolutely disgusting. I can show you examples. Here, is it cool if I share a screen real quick?
Yeah, of course. And guys, before Will shares this screen and we get Dr. Will's professional outlook, if you guys could please just take one quick moment and like the video. We got 34 people watching. Thank you guys so much for being here. Right now we're sitting at 12 likes. I've now adjusted my my take profit on likes, guys. It used to be 20, but the show has grown and our audience, you guys, have become so loyal and supporting of us, almost to a fault, where I now have to adjust my price targets for my likes. I usually request 20 likes, but now the new goal is 30. So if you guys could please just take one quick moment, like the video, just hit that thumbs up for us. Let's see if we can run the range high at 30. Let's get Will's charts up here, see what he's seeing.
I did want to say, sorry to cut you off, Will. I was just going to your point, Will, I do agree with you from the standpoint that, and I wanted to highlight this, that I feel like the lack of volume and the lack of volatility that crypto is seeing, like, these are bear market conditions, not bull market conditions. Yes, we've been in an uptrend all year, but these are bear market conditions, which means when that volume and volatility come back, I think it's it's going to be a signal that we get a ton of volume in the future, and obviously a lot of upside. But to your point, Will, I totally agree with you from the standpoint that I think the lack of volume and the lack of volatility that we're seeing right now is ultimately going to be bullish from the standpoint that it represents conditions in a bear market that we're still coming out of, realistically speaking. So.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody who says bull market, I can't really get on board with that. Yeah, it's a bullish momentum. I can get on board with that, but we're still recovering from the lows, right? We're still trying to get to that 50% mark from where the lows were, which is 30K, right? We're still fighting that trend and trying to get above that. And once you kind of recover that position, then you can be like, all right, we're maybe looking at a bull market, right? We're above that. I usually look at it above 50% of your drop. You might be in a potential to run back up again, right? But below 50% of your drop, you still have headwind risks, but you could still play the trend, right? So you're still bearish as long as you're under 50, in my opinion. But as far as moves, so like I'll give a couple examples here. So when this was moving, right, this was a really easy trend to follow, because when this was going, you had a nice little uptrend going on there, right? So when this uptrend's occurring, you can kind of be like, all right, where are we going? Yada, yada, so on and so forth. But you don't have anything going this way. It's more or less going sideways and lightly up. That tells you that selling pressure here, at least for me, right, was continuing to bear down on price here. What's another thing I looked at in this area when I was identifying this is that the trend angle was much steeper here than it was here. That was telling me that sellers were putting more and more and more pressure on price as they capitulated lower and lower and lower and lower, and that price was going to break, right? And then obviously you had to run up here. Over here, yes, you have another run up, but you have almost no vol, right? Your vol is very low. How can you tell your vol is low? Because there's just no price action. Look at these candles. Day by day by day, you get a little bit of vol, move, a little bit of vol, spike up, rejection, a little bit of vol. Like, look at these candles. Absolutely disgusting trading range. You don't want to trade that. It's not worth it. Now we're here, right? Now we're here. Look at the volume in these areas. Like, do people think that people are just going to sell that? Like, who are you selling to? Who are you selling to? Who's your buyer? I would arguably say retail is pretty much washed out, right? Are you selling to other whales? Are you, because somebody's got to buy this for price to drop, right? They got to catch the falling knife. So who is it? Is it a swap of wallets? Is it exchanges sliding hands on that? Like, I don't see the seller. I don't see the buyers to buy lower if price breaks. So what I'm seeing is little bits of purchases across with a little bit of selling due to uncertainty, right? It's just very light PVP, very, very, very light PVP. So, I mean, in a perspective of a bigger time frame, hold on just a sec. I'm almost finished cooking here, Tucker, but this is kind of your top end range, right? Drop, pop. Look at the vol here. It's absolutely crazy, right? If you come up here, look, heavy vol, right? And this is where the vol kind of starts to slow, but you're in this rising price that's just going nuts, right? Whenever you get these drawdowns, again, you got pop, drawdown, right? Pop, drawdown, pop, drawdown. Like, where are you? You're
well,
not
one question
you're
I
not
have for you
pressuring
about
this
that.
direction.
One question I have for you on that, Will, just right on this topic, then I'll let you finish cooking because I know the people are hungry. Chef Will's outlook, also a doctor, also a trader, real renaissance man. He's the Swiss Army knife
Billionaire
of a man.
playboy philanthropist, Will's outlook.
I think he's going to be on Forbes. Okay. So, Will, the way I'm viewing this is like kind of like a bouncy ball. All right. So when you drop the bouncy ball, the first bounce is the biggest. Second one, you know, every bounce preceding the first one is slightly smaller than the previous one. Why would off of, you know, it looks to me like the bounces are getting smaller. Okay. So that where it says number 2 on your chart under the last low at 25K, that was a smaller bounce than the one prior. Okay. So why would we now have a bigger bounce and, you know, more aggressive expansion as we're slowly losing momentum? Even if we are going to go above the previous high, why would we go up as far as that fractal has?
Here, I'll show you quick. This is your first move, right? And a lot of people may or may not recognize that. But even though you had your first move, you still capitulated higher, right? You capitulated much higher than that move over here before you actually had the big pullback. I don't know why that's acting like that. But you capitulated right over here. Sorry, I just got to make it a little bit higher here. Right there. So you had this much move over your pull up, right? Over here, arguably, I would say this right here, this was the majority, this was the meteor move, right? Okay. You still had all of this prior to that. So expectations are this right here is the meteor move, right? Right here. So it may not go as high as I'm thinking, right? I'm just expecting one more capitulation event just to pop into that area, take liquidity, trap liquidity, and then have your next pullback. Whether that be to roll over or whether that to be to drop.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I don't agree, but yes, it does make sense.
I'm identifying each one for you guys to show you exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I know it's not you're great at explaining. I just don't agree with the thesis. But yes, like it does make sense.
I like how you put that.
That's a nice backhanded compliment, you know.
It's very backhand.
No, I love what you said. You're just completely wrong. It's just,
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Tucker, we can
Yeah.
hear you. Can you hear us? That's the question.
Yes. Am I
I
lagging
can't.
though?
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
You sound good, Tucker. No, you
Will,
sound good.
your number one on this little Elliott wave thing you got going should be the first pump, right?
Mhm.
Like I think we've gotten it already. Like I know that fifth leg or whatever should be to 35K, but like if you just count the pumps, we've had 3, and that fifth one just failed at a double top. Like I think that's literally just what happened.
Okay. Look, let's go the direction you're saying. Let's say this was 1, this was 2, and this is 3. Right? Let's go with that. You're still looking at a similar move, right? You're still looking at a grab of liquidity higher before you come lower. You can line this out this way, the way I had it, any which way. Either way, at the end of the day, it's this is your grab. And the reason I labeled this 1, 2, 3 the way I did is because if we were to do this by an Elliott wave, right? This right here would be kind of like your first, this would be your second, and this would be your third, because this would be your 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? Your 5 would reach higher. But if you notice on each one, and this is the part that I keep pointing out, is they go higher than where your breakout candle happens, right? And then they go low and they go higher than where your breakout candle was.
I know, and I would
And they
argue
go
that we
low.
did that, right?
No, we
You
didn't
know,
go
I would
higher than our
argue we
breakout
did
candle.
that. I mean, we kind of
we
did.
wicked.
Though.
But that's like this right here. That's like this right here. This is your capitulation candle. That's your move up, right? This right here, this is your capitulation candle. That's your move up into your drop. It just every
No,
move.
I agree.
So
I just think we failed. I think we failed at that double top. Like I think that
then the whole Elliott wave structure failed. If that's the case,
I mean that's fine. I'm really not an Elliott wave lover to begin with, but it just looked like
no, I get it.
You know.
Yeah. No,
Okay, but wait. I
get
think we're more so. I think we're more so like 2019 than like if you go back to the 2018 vol crush that you had pulled up earlier. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. 2019 looks. It's 2019, man. It's 2019.
Oh, you think we're? but here's the thing. Look, I can kill that whole thesis altogether. If this is 2019, right? We never went down and bounced back up and came back down again. We came down, traded sideways, and then came down again. Right? We came down, bounced up, and now everybody's expecting us to come back down again.
I mean, it's as simple as we're in a pre-halving year. We pump the first half of the year, and then we get a massive correction in the second.
You guys need to go watch Tucker's most recent video, man. It's literally that simple.
No,
they just keep trying to fade Tucker, and that's the issue, man. Like people know not to fade Will, but like they just don't know not to fade Tucker, man. You got to watch the video.
I talked about this at the beginning of the year, and I told you this is something I've always looked for is a capitulation going into the halving, right? It doesn't mean that we can't trade higher before a capitulation happens. That's the thing I keep trying to like point out. I know it's not what you guys want in your playbook.
I agree, but I think time-wise that we're too late. Like it needs to have happened by.
Here, look at this. How is that when we dropped here? 1, 2, 3 candles out from but I'm saying this was your capitulation. Right? That was your capitulation.
We were already down 50% from the highs of 2019 before COVID.
Yeah, but that was over here. That's arguably where we are. We're already over here. Right? This is your accumulation right here. This is your accumulation. What are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So, guys, speaking of accumulation, currently the likes on this video are in accumulation before breakout. We are at 22 likes right now. We are in a strong accumulation phase before the bull market. Let's get that breakout to 30 likes on this video, please. We got 36 people. watching, thank you guys so much for being here. But if you could just please help support the channel and this video and this bull versus bear debate, please like that video. Just take one moment, help us run the range high of 30. Will, back to you.
Actually, I have a perfect one here to show you, and let's hear the conversation around this. Here's our drop. Here's our overall.
Will, I have so much respect for you as a man that the reason I'm so passionate when I speak
look at this
is that I want you to just make billions of dollars. And I just don't see it here, man. I just don't see the imminent pump to new highs here on the year. I just don't think the stage is set for it right now, man.
Can anybody tell me does that fit?
Okay, yes, but also that we could nuke to 22K and you wouldn't even see it on that time frame because it's such a high time frame. So what we're talking about is a more granular move. I think we're all in agreement like that's going to happen. That would be awesome. Like I think we can see that, but it's just too high of a time frame, man. Like a drop to 19K wouldn't even show up, on that chart.
This is how institutions think. They think in higher time frames. They don't think in lower time frames. They think in weekly, monthly, quarterly, right?
Right, but that chart's not super helpful for the discussion we're having because it's like it's basically implying we could go to 22K and like you'd still be right, which in theory on the monthly chart you would be, But I think what we're talking about is like, is Bitcoin about to drop, to 25K?
Yeah, no, I think 25K is in the cards for sure, but like it's all about timing. It's all about timing with 25K. I don't see it right at this moment. Why? Structure is, look, you're still holding structure. What is the case here to be bearish? With the normie trend holding. What's the case?
Equities pulling back, DXY moving up, VIX coiling for a pop higher. August and September are the two worst months historically for Bitcoin. Typically before a halving, we get a 30 to 40% pullback 6 to 9 months out. There's so many potential reasons, right? I'm more focused on the TA though, I'm more focused on the fact that I'm seeing spot volumes sliding ever since that impulse 3 that you have drawn right there. And that last move was falsely categorized as institutionalized adoption, front running an ETF, when it was really just a bunch of derivatives apes. That's all it was.
Vol's been dead since over here. Vol has been dead since this pump. And they were still able to drive higher, drop it down, then drive again.
Volumizers off.
Yeah, Vol's been dead. Like that's what I'm it's almost like price is floating higher, right? It's almost like passive flows, even there's probably no passive flows outside of retail. Maybe some institutions, maybe somewhere else, but like I don't see the case for passive flows because there's no 401ks. But it's almost like passive flows, right? Prices continues to float and float and float. And I can tell you the same thing happened over here. Like it's honestly really ridiculous. But like your big move over here was January, right? This was your big vol move. And even though this was your big vol move, from there, price continued to rise and continued to keep on pushing.
All right, here I want to ask a question to everybody real quick. And I don't want any explanations yet because I want everyone just to give a quick answer, okay? So please respect the prompt. If you were to try to gauge sentiment right now from what you've seen out there, what percentage of your timeline is bullish? What percentage is bearish right here? I just want just percentages. That's it. No explanations quite yet. We'll get into that after. I want to start with Tucker, then we'll go Tommy, then we'll go Will. I'm just picking that order because the way on my screen I see myself at the top. We're just going to go stack it down, and I'll answer last. Tucker, what percentage of your timeline is bullish versus bearish here? Again, I know this is anecdotal, but I think it can help as an exercise.
Yeah, for sure. Percentage bullish. I would say on just my regular timeline when I just pull up the X app, 65, 70. It's a little caveated because I have my fade list and my never fade list, which are obviously bullish and bearish respectively, but we'll move on.
Okay. Tommy, what percentage? Bullish versus bearish?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can accurately glean sentiment because pretty much all of like the best traders I know are very divided when it comes to directionality up here. So it's a little tough for me to say. I also think CT right now is so small that it's even harder to gauge what the true sentiment of the market is. But locally, I think people are maybe a little bit overzealous, but on a higher time frame, I think people are maybe too bearish, as I've kind of been saying. I think this is going to be a dip into a like a basically a vertical accumulation or a rip type of scenario if we pull back.
Okay, so you're thinking locally like 2 to 4 weeks out, maybe slightly above 50% bullish from what you're seeing, but then further out from that, people are too bearish.
I think so. Yeah, I think people are expecting a deeper pullback than I am. I've said before, I don't think we're going to get a double bottom on Bitcoin. I think you have a much more shallow dip than that, or that your double bottom per se is at maybe like 23K or something like that. I don't really think that. I do think people are probably too bearish on a higher time frame, but probably maybe a little bit overzealous and like you said, 2 to 4 week period.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, something that Will and I went into, and I know I said I didn't want to expand on all this stuff, is like the relationship between Bitcoin and then like total 2, total 3. So it's like Bitcoin could essentially retest like 20K, and you could see total or total 2 make like a new low, and actually get below the FTX capitulation low or the Luna low. And Bitcoin could not even be close to getting below the FTX low because Bitcoin's deviation below its Luna collapse range low of 17.8 was so much more pronounced and aggressive than total 2. And I mean, it was kind of comparable more to like total 3. So I mean, Bitcoin, it really shouldn't have even gone that low, arguably, in the first place. But yeah, Will, what percentage are you gauging out there to be bullish versus bearish right now, give or take?
Bro, like I literally have like 3 people that post bull anything. Like I get some support from like bulls, but like any bulls that I see on my timeline just don't. It doesn't seem like they have conviction, right? They're just so flipped as far as directionality. One day they're bullish, one day they're bearish. So like there's a lot of kind of like what Tommy said, a lot of mixed signals. But I would arguably say definitely more bearish if you look at spaces, the spaces I go in, right? Definitely a lot more bearish in spaces. So Web3 side's horrific, man. Like it just, those guys just act like their life is ending. So I don't even know. Like I mean, that's just the way I'm gauging it.
So, Will, where would you say, like, if we dip below 27K, in your mind, is that like, okay, we weren't really supposed to go that low? Is that kind of your like?
I don't really have a bias. I just have a plan, right? And if you get below 28, I would expect 25. That's just my plan. So like it's not really hey, am I a super bull, am I a super bear? It's just I look for validation, invalidation. If I get invalidated, I look for the next level. And that's what I see as the next level in a higher time frame. We'll get there one way or another, right? But at the end of the day, I'm expecting more traps to be open, right? More trap doors. And I think like there's just, for me, again, and a lot of the time you can get confused because we can have these discussions on YouTube, and then that's what you hear in your head consistently. So you're thinking that it's everybody, but it might just be the people you talk to on a regular, right? But for me, yeah, I'm just getting a lot of bearish signals. I'm not really getting anybody who's super excited, and I think like everybody keeps saying the pain trade is down, which I'm seeing consistently. But I think the pain trade is sideways. I think everybody's wrong. It's not up or down. It's what it's doing right now. This is the pain trade because it's not tradable. It's not a tradable range.
That was would you see that comment that came up, Will? That was a very interesting comment from Average Dad Crypto. Let's put that back up, Tucker, if we could. Pain would seem we get a dip. Everyone loads bags for halving, and then we get the real dump in 2024 with bags loaded. That kind of seems like what you're leaning towards, Will. give or
I mean,
take.
yeah, that could very well happen, and I've discussed this with you. It could be 2024 down only, right? And it doesn't even have to be like lower lows. Doesn't have to be even a double bottom.
It
Could
could
just
be
be
that
a
sideways
bleed.
you're talking about, Will. It
Yeah,
could just be where like maybe we range between like 23 and 35 for like
and just
2 years. We never
drop,
get that breakout. I
drop,
mean, eventually
drop.
we will, right? But
Yeah.
imagine if we were literally stuck between like range low and range high. Let's just say like 35 and 15, right? Huge range for 2 more years, you
Mhm.
know? That'd be
Well,
pain. That'd be
not
pain.
not everybody has. Evan says he doesn't pay attention to the having. Not everybody has to pay attention to having. I just look at it like this: am I on the buying side of the halving or the selling side of the halving? And that's the way I view it, right? You can be like, hey, I can get prices cheaper. Sure, that's a definite. I mean, even Cohen, he's talked about it before. Remember, he said I bought Cardano, and when he said he bought Cardano, he said he bought it while Bitcoin was kind of over here, up here, right? And then Bitcoin had this big capitulation, and then Cardano got crushed, and lots of other alts. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is like, yeah, you can get crushed here. You could have got crushed here. And yeah, you could have got better pricing anywhere. It's like, and this would be your alt bags, your Bitcoin
No,
bags,
but
whatever.
Will, his point is that getting into altcoins too
Too early. Yeah.
is a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. But what I'm the point that I'm saying though is like he stated this, right? And yes, the drawdown was immense. But what I'm trying to state is like when you're on this side of having, whether you bought where he bought or whether you bought down here, your exponentials went up, right? Significantly. So, like for me, it's yeah, I can get a little cheaper, and I always try to keep some dry powder just for that. But like, I'm looking at exponentials, right? Beyond the halving. And now, again, that could be something disgusting, like a double top and then a pullback, and then the next market's the real market. Which I've got a plan for that if that ends up happening. Um, it could also be a breakout to new all-time highs, right? We don't know at the end of the day what the next market will give us.
I would say I'm leaning towards Tommy's scenario. If I had to side with anybody or align my bias with anybody's, it's that it's a big aggressive dip into a rip. You know, it's a drop that everybody calls it's over on, and it probably spreads over into equities, or really the equities drop would spread over into crypto. And we'll see equities down at 42.75, 4,300, and we'll see Bitcoin down at 20, 26, 24 to 26 or something like that. And then that dip gets scooped up. We rip throughout the remainder of this year, and then maybe consolidate through Q1, Q2, and then start ripping like 6 to 9 months after the halving. So
if I were to clear my whole chart here, right? And we weren't saying this is Bitcoin. We weren't talking about monetization. We weren't talking about world liquidity. We weren't nothing else matters. Just what the chart is showing us, right? Just what the chart is showing us. And this is how I like to play a lot of my moves. If you are arguably here, and yes, you are at a lower low, right? I agree. But if you are arguably here, what do you see right through here?
I see a range low that's about to break.
Tommy, what do you see right through here?
I mean, I don't really know what I can glean from that, TBH. It's just going sideways. But I don't like, from the standpoint of determining strength, I don't like that we've hung out at support for so long. So I think at the least we'll probably do some sort of sweep lower before a move higher.
Okay, Tucker, what do you see right through here? Here, we'll do this even just to kind of make it a little easier.
What am I looking at here? Are you looking at volume?
Just the chart. We can ignore vol. We can ignore RSI. Just what we're seeing right here.
A very tight, untradeable range that's been very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Now, when they've wanted to trade anything to the downside or up, what do you see through here? If you're to look just from here to here.
What am I looking at? When was this? June
Mhm.
of this year?
No, this is all 2022. So this is May, June, July. What do you see in this area?
Distribution.
Okay, we can call it distribution.
Well, I mean, it's a trick question. Well, I mean, it's very obvious, right? So it's like I'm looking at it and I can see that we nuked after. So clearly, all the buying in there was, capitulated. It was distribution.
So what I see through here is volatility, right? So this is a very volatile move after a very capitulative move, right? So for me, it's continuation, right? So it's volatility. It's telling me, hey, there's still a lot of activity. There's still a lot of people obviously looking to unload their bags because they completely exited over here. So we're probably going to get another capitulation.
You know what that kind of looks like? That consolidation. Somebody wanted to overlay that little that cheeky little 30K consolidation with the break.
I've got that. I can share my screen. I got that.
Yeah,
so
it looks the same, man.
the point I wanted to get to here, right, is that if you were to take this across and you were to look at here and here, now what do you see?
Well, I gotta share my screen, man.
But hold on, what do you see right here? What do you see?
What am I seeing there? I'm seeing basically a retest of a previous high volume node,
Okay, but are you above or below?
You're right you're below it. You're below, probably, if you drew a volume profile in there, I bet you're below the point of control.
So what I see here is that we've recaptured range and we're still holding range.
But I don't think that that's even a range we care about. I'd rather have you draw it from 2020, like, or 28K, which was like our true bull market range low, and make the case. Like, I don't care about that little range right there. We didn't spend that much time there.
Well, look.
Yes, there. If you draw that and say, okay, this is our range low, you could make a better case there saying, yeah, we're back above 28.9. We just reclaimed high time frame range low.
Correct. So
I don't care about that little. I don't care about that little node though. That doesn't mean much to me.
Yeah. Guys, not to cut you off while talking about Bitcoin, but what do we make about the movement in altcoins this morning? Because Bitcoin is still going sideways, but we are starting to see some bleed reflect in altcoin markets.
I think it's rotating to Bitcoin.
I think that it's people fearful Bitcoin's going to break down, so they're dumping their alts in anticipation. When Bitcoin is cliff dwelling, altcoins typically don't perform very well. So I think it's just a simple. I would not call it a rotation. If anything, I'd call it a rotation into stable coins.
We did just have a major market maker announce that they were scaling back operations, by the way, about like 10 minutes ago.
Who?
GSR. Probably not great for altcoin liquidity.
No, terrible for altcoin liquidity.
Yeah, I mean, GSR doesn't really matter, but yeah.
I think it begs a really important question, because I just saw a really great tweet about it from, if you guys have ever heard of Sisyphus on crypto Twitter. He's you can say what you want about his history, but he understands the market and he understands the game. So he kind of views the rotation that we're seeing from exchange altcoins to on-chain altcoins as the final rotation within crypto. But I would counter that we saw this exact same type of rotation in 2018 to late 2020, right? When
2020.
Money moved off of exchanges and into new projects that represented new tooling and infrastructure for DeFi in 2020. So I don't know. I think it's a really interesting question. The number one thing that has to be solved, though, I think longer term, if you're bullish crypto, you have to figure out how the hell people are going to get money back into crypto. Because right now, one thing that the Feds have done very well is, in their fight against crypto, and I hate saying this as somebody who, I love trading crypto, they've done a very good job of cutting off crypto's access to the banking system, at least to the same degree where it's literally just so easy to put your money into crypto. It still is, for retail, but retail's broke and institutions need more clarity as far as how to enter the space. So,
I would argue, Snorlax, I would argue, and this is what we saw in 2021, is institutions just need to see more retail conviction, and then they'll come in. right?
No,
Like
no, it's
though
not.
there's-
They don't give a crap about retail conviction,
Yeah.
man. They care about the unconfiscatability of it and the ease of transfer of wealth between nations. They care about the digital properties of digital assets. They're more concerned about one, custodianship of it, and two, they're not going to fire off $100,000 clips. They need liquidity on a scale that simply is not there. They don't care about retail at all. They actually probably would prefer retail stay out of it and come in way later. Like they could crush this market and pick the pieces back up and put it together. What they're waiting for is a spot ETF approval so that there's more regulatory clarity and liquidity and a safe custodian to basically, harbor the keys. They don't care about retail, man, not at
But
all.
Max, what we're talking about is two totally different things. So what you're talking about is adoption, right? What I'm talking about is advertising through less cost. What does that mean? That means that if eyes are on crypto, even from the normies, you come in, you pretend like you're part of the space, you spend some money in the space, and if it's cheaper than paying for marketing, it's actually worth losing the money in the space because you're basically paying for marketing, right? FTX on the stadium.
But what do they care? What do they care if retail is in or likes Bitcoin?
No, it's not that. It's about attention, right? So like if crypto is the attention, then Budweiser, Nike, all these guys, they want that attention. So what they're going to do is they're going to pretend to be crypto friendly. And this is exactly what they did in 2021 because a lot of those big retailers lost money. But I look at it as cost to advertise, right? They were getting advertisement through talking about Doge. Think about Newegg. Newegg said you could buy things off them with Doge. Do you think they were actually serious about that? No, they weren't serious about it. It was advertisement. It was free advertisement. And that's what a lot of this was for them. There's a little bit of head cost, but it was free advertisement for a lot of different institutions.
Now, guys, I want to just say a quick thank you. We did get to 30 likes. That was tremendous of you guys. You guys always get to our TP, but I'm feeling a little bit greedy, and I think I want to actually amend that. I'm going to leave a runner on and see if we can get to 40 likes on this video. We currently have 39 people watching. I'm curious if there's 10 people out there, roughly a quarter of our current live audience that has not liked this video yet. If you guys are enjoying this content, all we ask is that you please just hit a quick like, and then of course sign up for all of our premium no, I'm just kidding. If you want to, that'd be cool too. But in the meantime, let's just do a quick like on this video. 40 likes would be epic. Thank you guys so much. But guys, I can't shake this visual out of my mind. I've got my chart up. The same way that they accumulate is the same way they distribute. They take it right out of the playbook. They just reverse the fractal. They do it all the time. The top looks the same as the bottom. It's the same playbook because it keeps working over and over and over again.
I don't know, man. The hopeful bull in me wants to not see it, but I do see what you're putting down.
Have you put the fractal on there, Max?
Of course I have.
Let's see it.
I don't think you guys are ready for that, man.
I'm ready for it.
I don't think you're ready for it.
That can be a Giga Chat exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my God.
At the end of the day, you know me. Like I'm never a moon boy, guys. Like I'm just not. I don't believe there's such a thing. Like, but I just try to keep it as real as possible when it comes to this price, man. Like I don't think 36K is moon boyish at all. Like these guys bidding 50 and 60 and 70. I think that's pretty far out there. But
okay. Here's what we're gonna do, Will.
That's just my perspective.
Here's what we're gonna do. This is happening. Right below this low. Come back, retest. CME gap. There's a CME gap right here. We're gonna fill in that CME gap. That's your dip before the halving right there. Something like that. And then the halving is
perfect.
And the halving's right out here, give or take. This is your big dip. This is your historic 35% pullback before the halving, which again we have seen.
It would be beautiful.
I dread
you
the
guys,
thought of spot bags if we get a pullback like that, man.
You guys ready? Go ahead and switch the screen to my side. I'm gonna show you what's gonna happen here. All right.
Fine, Will.
He's about to
fine.
cook, Max. He's about to
Look,
cook.
I know Chef Will's out. Look, he put the apron on.
Came
Let's see it,
up.
Will.
You put
Came
the
down, came up, came down, came up, holding the range. We're gonna come up, grab liquidity, come down, reject, come down, reject, come down, pull back out, make enough momentum to come back out, and we're gonna go up.
Will,
from there.
you and I are so close to seeing the exact same thing. Like, besides
What
your
does-
little giga pump to 36K, we're thinking the
I'm-
same thing.
Look, I'm telling
I have
you,
a question
man.
for you, Will. If
Yeah.
we do get a pump to like 35, I mean that scenario that you've laid out basically has volatility after that getting just completely nuked for essentially another 6 or 7 months. You think that's going to be the case?
I think we'll run into the halving. What's the halving over here? May, right?
April.
April, May. So yeah, it's
Mid-April.
perfect. It's a perfect lineup. Look, it's a perfect lineup right here. It's mid-April right there. Boom. You're already starting to move out.
I
The
just
dip
don't know
gotta
that
happen
I think
sooner,
that
man.
volatility will be short that
I mean,
long.
it could look. The dip could definitely happen sooner. Maybe it happens over here. Right? It's gonna happen here first. This is your liquidity grab because you get above here. You know how many people are gonna be ape idiots, like just coming in as big as they can, sizing in, thinking they're gonna reach all-time high again.
Bro, I would argue a lot of people are doing that right now or have.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think people are way too scared here, and the funny part is you're on support.
Okay, Will, how about this? How about 26, 35, 22? Draw that out for me.
So 36,
No.
25.
No. 26, 26, 35, 22. If you could
Look.
please map that out for me. 26,
26. All right.
35, 22,
Why would you even attempt
22.
that structure is so disgusting.
Now 100.
Yes, maybe 200. There you go.
That's it.
You guys,
How about that?
You guys are high. You're high. Look, it's not gonna get that high, man. I'd say you might reach 100, right? If we were to draw this down, like it all depends on time. Obviously, time will give us more extension, but I definitely think we're topping around this line wherever that lands.
Yeah, my hot take is that Bitcoin does not hit 100K after it breaks the all-time high next. That 30K, 60K range meme that people probably thought was just a part of the last bull run, that's about to be a meme, I think, for much longer.
That's actually a very fun debate to have because I've thought to myself numerous times, I feel like they'll give like 88K or something like that, and they'll front run.
Maybe even
100K.
90. If they get them to 90, you know how many people are gonna be like, we're going to 100, we're going to 100.
Because everyone will think it's like
got the numerology factor.
89.99.
But they
That's
think
what
it's
it'll be.
like, they think it's like going to be the easiest long to like 100K, and like all the 6-figure Bitcoin merch will start being sold, and then like it'll get front ran again.
Oh,
And I'm just kind of thinking like it would make sense to make them wait one more cycle. That'd be pretty mean.
I think your come down here. I mean, man, like if you don't breach 100, I think you're coming back down to like right here, somewhere's in there.
See, but that wouldn't be bad either. Like I could see like 70, then back to 30. Like wherever we're hanging out right now might end up being like a major retest spot one day. Like we're in accumulation right now. So if we spend the next 18 months between 20 and 35, we break out finally, come back and retest it next bear market. I mean, that would certainly be healthy, wouldn't it?
I mean, but if they breach this though, man, I don't know, because like, look, as much as I try to stay realistic with price, like it has happened. It just has happened.
Here's the thing: either we get stuffed at 88K or we go to 250.
Yeah. The one thing I try to point out to people is like, if you look at this like from a realistic standpoint, there's your up, right? And then look at your next market. That's the angle of your next market. And then look at your next market. That's the angle of your next market. You're basically in a sense, not really looking to break out. You're actually curling over, right?
Curling over.
I'm not saying you're going to come down below here, but I'm just saying like your overall market is actually losing momentum, right? To the
You're
upside.
curling ogre.
I have a comment to
What?
make. So I guess GSR's fire sale on their liquidity has started. I was just looking at Hisaka's feed, and guess what? The first coin it looks like they are starting to sell off is
Matic.
personal favorite of mine. Yes, it is Matic.
Let's go.
You said personal favorite of mine. There we go. All right, let's look at Matic real quick.
Let's look at Matic, and then I want to look at TLT really briefly too, because it's got a green candle today. It's worth looking at.
It's flat. It's flat.
So you're not gonna come in and buy the bags of Matic buyers?
Oh my god, that looks like the BNB chart, man.
Yeah, honestly, I was expecting, and you can see right here, I had it marked out. Like I was expecting for this area. Oh, hold on. For this area to be violated, and it did, man. It just
Are you denominating it in ETH right now?
FVG. Yeah, that was my 8th pair. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. I thought I had Matic, Polygon Matic, right?
You should only denominate Matic in Ox, Will.
Yeah.
Just denominate
Sure.
Matic in 0. I know that makes it visible.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So we'll just go Matic. No, I had it on here. I don't know where my chart were. What are we gonna go with? Binance?
Yeah, that's where they're going to be dumping it at least, is Binance.
I mean, it's not much different, to be honest with you. But like, I would arguably say something like right here.
No one speaking.
Hold on one second. Give me just a second.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something, Will.
No, Will's cooking.
Oh, he's on mute. That's why I was like, I'm seeing his mouth moving, but I'm not hearing anything. Okay. I mean, look, guys. I see a stage set.
I got it. I got to run, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
Good talk.
See you, Will.
See, Will.
I
Let's,
see this. You want to look at TLT?
Yeah, let's take a look at TLT really quickly,
All right.
because I think it's huge for the equity picture, which will probably be big for the crypto picture, but we can't be totally sure.
I like to look at this chart. It's every single global bottom or bottom before a major rally in long duration treasury bonds has been a double, if not a triple bottom. That level on TLT would basically be like 92, give or take. So I don't think it's something you go into blindly. We've been talking about the potential for a double bottom on this chart for, I mean, I feel like upwards of like 8 or 9 months now. Really, really long time. So be curious to see if it happens again. I mean, you can see how many instances there are. So there are 5. This would be the 6th time it's happened in the past 2 decades. Tucker, what are your plans around this, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna be adding some spot TMF, some TMF calls, and probably some TLT calls when we get down around there. I've already got some positions on, but not huge size or anything like that. So I'm gonna probably look to triple those positions when we get down to like $90, 90, 91, 92, something like that. But I know some guys like EXO are looking for like 87, 88, which would be fine. I mean, I think 2025 calls on both TMF and TLT will print. So, but spot is comfy too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Tommy, what are your thoughts, man?
On TLT, I mean, I really don't know how this will trade from a fundamental standpoint, but I think it either bottoms here or it's obviously going to make a new low. But as far as I'd rather, if I'm a buyer, I would rather wait for a market structure break to the upside before I would feel comfortable adding, just because, I mean, look how strong that downtrend is on a higher time frame. There's no reason we can't go swipe all those lows. I feel like from a liquidity standpoint, that makes sense if I were trading like a crypto chart, but I know that this is very different. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to speculate on price targets.
What do you mean all those lows, Tommy?
Tommy means starting right here,
Yeah.
man.
What is that? I can't even
If
see.
that were a crypto chart, man, we'd be going for those lows.
Is that 80?
That'd be $81.
Oh man. Oh man.
Look, here's what I think you need to go down to the low time frame here. All right. So you need to wait for something like this, right? So if you get your double bottom, this is all that matters, right? You look for like a big deviation down to like 90 or something, and then you just try to wait for like a low time frame trigger, and you just keep your invalidation tight. Like you can't go in blind on it just in case, but you got to wait for some low to form. You have to wait for a wick. You have to wait for like a demand zone to attempt to pop up. Like you need something like on the high time frame, like a demand where you have clear invalidation, like maybe it's a weekly time frame, something like that. But you got to wait for something, So I don't think it makes sense to position aggressively. Like if you want to just slowly, DCA because you're willing to hold it for a while and have a little bag, that's cool. That's different. But if you're talking about going in very aggressively, one, you need to give yourself some sort of invalidation, other than like a time-based capitulation. You need to wait for a level to form.
I agree. I think if you see the Fed start cutting, you fucking ape though. Sorry for the language. You ape though.
I would agree, but then the question is, if they're cutting, it's like what even happens when they cut? Like we know in theory what would happen, but
wrong if they cut.
Say that again.
Something will have gone very wrong if they just start prematurely cutting.
Right. I just find it hard to imagine, like, if they start cutting interest rates by 25 basis points, 50 basis points per meeting, it's like, what's TLT just going to go up like 50% in a day or something? I find that hard to believe also. So that it draws into question the viability of U.S. debt, because I've heard discussions around that as well.
Yeah. See, I think that's the same. It's in the same boat. And like what Average Dad asked in the chat, new issuances and credit downgrade. I think the credit downgrade and the viability of U.S. debt is in the same boat as BRICS taking over the world reserve currency. I think it's FUD. I think the U.S. hegemony is going nowhere, and it's like fun to entertain theories like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I posted a tweet the other day. It was like, what is the dollar actually backed by? And it's just like airplanes and ships. Like it's just the might of our army.
Like the B-12 bombers or whatever. Those are so funny, man. When they're like, what's it all backed by? And it's just some like stealth airplane just ripping through like a downtown area.
Oh,
so
dude,
cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like
bald eagle screeching.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think our debt, our dollar dominance, none of that's going anywhere in the next 5 to 10 years. I would venture. So yeah, I mean, it's about timing, especially if you're going to play calls, but I think, buying at least TLT. I mean, TMF has a little contango. You probably don't want to hold it for 10 years, but at least buying TLT if the Fed starts cutting I'm saying blindly, not even like doing TA on it, is probably going to work out for you. But I think you could get, like you were saying, it's not going to go up 50% in a week. It's like, yeah, it'll probably go up 50% in like a year though. So I think there's a lot of, I mean, obviously everybody's been looking at the long end, and like everybody knows that there's a lot of potential there. So it's kind of like what you were saying a few months ago, though, Max. It's like, once that train starts going and something breaks and the Fed's like, oh shit, we need to cut rates, like it's going to be probably hard to get on board the long bond trade. Like it's probably just going to start ripping.
For sure. I mean, look, it's going to be a tough one to time. I think that initial pop off the low is going to be like an explosive, like 30 or 40% ripper in a very short period of time. But the question is, can you handle volatility and indecision in the short term, because could TLT go to $5? Or I'm sorry, probably not TLT. TMF go to $5? Yeah, it certainly could. But that doesn't, just because it goes down to $5 or $4.50 doesn't preclude it from going to $30 in the next 2 years when they start aggressively cutting if something breaks. So I think the play is, it's getting very close to a point where you want to start really prospecting it, in my opinion. I don't know if we're quite there yet. Full disclosure, I do have a little bit of TMF exposure. I was in too early. This line right here, you guys will remember in the Discord. I was initially accumulating like here, and I also bought aggressively here. And then I shaved some profits up in here, held the rest of the bag, and then I told our Discord, when this line broke right here, I sold like 85% of my TMF exposure right there. So I'm looking forward to buying this back. I always brag about this in our Discord. I say I'm good at winning. Like, I do this professionally. Like, I make a living trading. There's no one better at losing than me. Like, I get out of things right when I need to. I know exactly when I'm invalidated. I'm really proud of this sell. This one almost feels better than a win, just like seeing what happened after I sold. Like, I was the distributor, So I'm looking forward to maybe, we do something, coming down here. Really, I'm going to try to watch TLT, but this would be cool too, to see something like this. With like a fake double bottom and then deviation, and that's your long. We saw something similar to that over here. Right. Like this move right here. Something like this would be pretty nice. Like this. I'm low key on TMF looking for something like this.
That'd be pretty wicked. That would make sense with a pullback in stocks too. Whatever that would mean, I'm not sure, but
it would make sense because I don't think we get that aggressive long bond bid until stocks are actually nuking and that correlation is broken, rather than them going up together is the only problem. So I think right now, when yields go higher, stocks are kind of an auto sell, like I said the other day. So when TLT and TMF are going down, stocks are probably going to go down, but we're not going to get that bid to $30 on TMF until we see equities actually nuking and they start cutting and something breaks. Like, that's when the big leg up starts on it. But if equities do come back to like 4,300, maybe TMF goes down to like whatever you've got on there, and then equities just rip to all-time highs. If they can squeeze that in before the end of the year or Q1 before they break something, like what does that imply for TMF and TLT? I mean, it probably implies that fake move up. Honestly, the fake move up would be correlated 1-to-1 with equities going higher, and then something breaks, everybody runs out of equities, and TMF and TLT just moon.
I like it. I think that's a good note to end the stream on. We're going to call it here, guys. So we've got something to talk about on tomorrow's stream. So, guys, thanks so much for being here. As always, looks like we got to 36 likes. Maybe there's 4 people out there still watching that have not liked the video yet. Maybe we can get to 40 and run that range high. That's always awesome. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for being here. Actually, Tommy, I'm not going to steal your thunder, man.
Oh, it's okay.
You do the outro, man. You got this. What am I doing?
It's okay, guys. We had a great debate today. Really just breaking down Bitcoin directionality. I think a lot of it has to do kind of with what BNB is going to decide to do within this local consolidation. It looks on a higher time frame fairly bearish to me. So I think that's something you definitely have to watch into the end of the month and maybe even to September, given how low volatility and choppy these conditions are. But I don't think we're too far away from that regime shifting, at least even if that shift is for a few days or for a few weeks. I don't think that's far away. But y'all stay safe and have a great rest of your Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow for another episode of Market Check. We also have David Hunter on tomorrow with YouTube, which should be super exciting. It's going to be great to meet back up with David, since the last time we spoke with him, I think we were at like 4,200 the last time we spoke with him on the S&P. So it was like right before we broke out in a big way. It'll be cool to check back in with him. But appreciate y'all's support. If you enjoyed the content, once again, we have links to our premium content in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the link tree of our Twitter bio. But we appreciate y'all for being here, and thanks again for helping us run the new range high on likes. We have reached expansion. But
price discovery. Yeah.
Price discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.